Hi, this is Somya, and today I'm going to be walking you through how to set up and install Python and Pycharm on your devices. Python is a programming language that we will be using, and Pycharm is the IDE or integrated development environment that we will be using to run our Python code. So the first thing you want to do is navigate to python.org, which is this URL right here. And then you want to go to the Downloads tab and click on that. And then you can just download the latest version. So I'm going to go ahead and download this. And we should see a setup wizard being downloaded here. So once you open that, if I open that up, I get this over here. And you want to make sure you click this box because this is very important, especially if you're installing Python for the first time. So don't forget to check that box. And then you want to click on Customize Installation. You want to make sure all of these boxes are checked. And I'm just going to install for all users, but if you're the only user on the device, it really doesn't matter. And I'm just going to keep the installation location as is, but you can change that if you want, but it's definitely not necessary. And now I'm going to just install this. And you just want to wait for that to install. This might take a little bit. So once it finishes installing, you should get this screen saying setup was successful, and you can just go ahead and close that. Okay, so now that we have successfully installed Python, we are now going to install Pycharm, which is an integrated development environment, or an IDE, used to run Python code. So you want to navigate to this URL over here, jetbrains.com/Pycharm. You could also just put in like Pycharm download or something, and this should come up. Either way works. So once you get to this website, you want to click download. So once I go ahead and click that, I get this screen over here. So we have two options here, professional or community. You have to pay for professional, and for our purposes, community can allow you to do really complicated stuff in Python, so you really don't need professional at this stage. So we can just go ahead and download community because that's free and it's also very, very powerful. So if I download this, we see that this setup wizard over here is downloading. So this is going to be used to actually install Pycharm and set up a bunch of stuff and basically configure the installation. So now that that's downloaded, I'm going to open that up. This should be opening any second now. Okay, so once that's opened up, we get this setup wizard over here, and we want to click next here to begin our installation. So this is basically the screen that allows you to choose your installation location. By default, it is going to give you a folder here, which I'm going to use. Personally, I prefer just keeping the destination folder that it gives you, but you can change this destination if you want, but I'm just going to keep it as is. So I'm going to go ahead and click next, and we have these installation options. So Make sure you follow the instructions here because this is very important. So the first thing is create desktop shortcut. You want to click this box because that is going to make opening Pycharm a lot easier. This is more of like a convenience thing, so I would really recommend doing that. And you want to check these three as well. They're also very important. They're more like, this one especially is more for like the inner workings of Pycharm. I wouldn't really worry about that too much at this stage, but just make sure you click it, and these two as well. So now I'm going to click next, and here it says choose start menu folder. So this is pre-creating a folder called JetBrains, so I'm just going to keep that as is, but if you really want to, you can change this folder, but I'm just going to keep it as the default. So now I'm going to install this. This may take a few minutes because Pycharm, it's a very powerful tool, so there's a lot it needs to install and set up, so this is just going to take a little bit, so just be patient with it. Okay, so now that it has finished installing, it is telling me that I need to restart my computer in order to complete the installation. You may or may not get this message. I really don't know how it is on your computers, but for mine, it's making me restart it, so I'm just going to go ahead and do that right now, and once my computer finishes restarting, I'm going to show you how to actually run Python code in Pycharm. Okay, so now that we have finished installing both Python and Pycharm, it's time to set up Pycharm and run a Python program. So I'm going to go into the search bar and I'm going to type in Pycharm. So here you should see a Pycharm Community Edition. You want to make sure you don't click on any exe files or apps because that's the setup wizard that we use, so we don't really want to use that again, so we actually want to open the Pycharm application, so that is called Pycharm Community Edition here. So I'm going to click on this, and that should be opening. Okay, so now that I get this welcome screen, I'm going to go to New Project, and you can call this whatever you want. I'm going to name this Python Workspace. Okay, so now this is a really important step. We are going to configure the interpreter for our project. So without an interpreter, Python code cannot run because the machine that you are working with, will not be able to read the code that you are producing. So we want to go over here to previously configured interpreter. You want to make sure you select that option, and you should see next interpreter. Here you should see no interpreter, and if you click this arrow, nothing's going to show up because we haven't set up any interpreters yet. So to do that, you need to go over here to add interpreter. So once you click on that, you can press on add local interpreter, and you see this here. You want to go down to system interpreter. So the thing with system interpreter is that you won't need to set up a new interpreter for every project that you create in Pycharm. You will have the same interpreter for all projects, so you wouldn't really need to go through that hassle, which is why I personally prefer the system interpreter. So I'm going to go ahead and use that. So here we see the interpreter is Python 3.11, which is what we just downloaded. So you want to make sure you select that. If that's not what you see, you want to go to this drop-down menu and you should find it. So once we have that, I'm going to click OK. And now I'm going to create the project. And once I do that, I'm going to see an automatic main.py file that Pycharm creates. So this is just kind of a test to see whether Python is set up properly and if it works. So we want to run this file to make sure that our Python is working properly and we don't have any issues we need to fix. So there are two ways you can run a file. You can go up here to the top where it says run, you can click on that, and you can press run main. So this will be replaced with whatever file you're running. So if you run that, you should see this pop up, which means that this worked correctly. So we have no issues with the Python setup. Another way to run this is to just go in the upper right hand corner, and if you click on this play button, the same thing should come up. It should run again. So that's it for our setup of Python and Pycharm. So we'll be learning more about Python and Pycharm and how to use some of the important functions and tools that Pycharm has to offer.